like to introduce our panelists, and I will ask them to introduce themselves shortly. And myself, my name is Han Fen Hu. I will serve as a moderator for today. I'm a professor and graduate coordinator in the Department of Information Systems. So now we will turn to the panelists. For each of you, can you please introduce yourself and the classes you teach?
In what order? I guess I'm unmuted, so I'll go ahead and start.
Sure.
My name is Michael Lee, and I'm an associate professor here at the Lee Business School. I teach primarily kind of like analytics methods classes on the graduate side. So MIS 761, which is an analytical methods course, and then MIS 776, which is the business analytics course. So those of you who know my backstory kind of know.
Thank you, ladies. Have a good day. Thank you. Goodbye.
Oops, I think somebody needs to mute. Okay.
Oh,
so
Baba. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Can I ask everybody to please mute? Hanfan, I think we can actually just automatically mute everyone if you want to.
Yep, I will.
Okay, perfect. So those of you who know my backstory know that I actually had about a 20-year career in data and analytics before coming into academia. So I have a very strong practice focus, and so I try to infuse that in my courses as much as possible. And hopefully I'll get to see a bunch of you in my classes. So it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
I can go next. My name is Galini Gavrilido, and I'm an assistant professor in residence here at UNLV. The classes that I teach are mostly in strategy. So I'm teaching a graduate class, MIS 744. This is about the information system strategy. And I also teach IS 330, which is innovation and technology. And I use introductory IS courses, IS 101. Starting next semester, I will be also teaching the project management courses for graduate and undergraduate students. So in terms of AI, I guess I won't say too much. We're going to be going, I guess, down the list with the questions, but this is pretty much what I teach. And if you're interested to take my class, you're more than welcome.
Thank you.
It's my turn. So hello everyone. My name is Ben. I'm the assistant professor in residence in the information system, and I think I'm similar with Mike that I'm focused more on the applied application of the business analytical tools and the methods and more technical part. So I'm teaching 210 and I'm teaching 335 business analytics. And also I'm teaching 372, which is the information research methods. So like the tools I'm using during the class is very, I have like different applications used in my class, including MySQL, including Java and Python. So those parts, like I would say like those parts are more related to the AI used nowadays, and we can. I'm not very, I'm not reject using the AI for it during my class, but I would say like related to the AI, I won't have more discussion about how students can correctly apply AI for the class. Yeah.
Thank you. So we have a very good mix of the panelists who teach technical classes, but also management classes like strategy, project management. So I think we can get different perspectives from different professors. Okay, so just logistics. If any of you have questions, put it in the chat, please, and I will monitor and raise a question to the panelists. And we will also have a Q&A session at the end. But first of all, I would like to walk through a set of questions that I want the panelists to share their input for us. How have you seen students use ChatGPT effectively in your classes? For example, in projects, presentations, case analysis, writing, or programming assignments. So how about let's start with Dr. Lee?
Sure. So in my classes, I think I've noticed that the students that use AI most successfully are the ones that are primarily using it for ideation, right? For generating ideas. I really love AI to help me brainstorm. I come to ChatGPT and actually other models. I use a number of them with basic ideas in mind, but I want some refinement, or I want to explore down certain avenues and say, all right, this is the project that I'm interested in. What kinds of things am I not considering? What other directions should I investigate? And the point really is that if I'm using AI to take my ideas and help to kind of expand them, or to help me fill in the blanks a little bit, I think that's a really appropriate use of AI. As far as actual programming and presentations, things like this, you have to be really careful about what you're asking AI to do. I've got very strong opinions on this because of the fact I've been in this business for a long time. But I think where we fall down the rabbit hole is when we start using AI as an answer machine, right? We're just looking at it to generate an answer, and then you copy that answer and paste it into your solution. And I asked Dr. Hu if I could share a slide really quickly, so I'm going to do this. This was actually a slide that I had a presenter in one of my undergrad classes come a couple of days ago, and he shared this slide with me, and I absolutely love it because I asked him to come talk about storytelling with data. And this is essentially talking about the difference between using AI to do your work and using AI to be a partner, to assist you. So when you have AI do it, you're basically taking whatever they give you. But see, what the AI doesn't understand is context. And you can build that context. And remember that ultimately you are the craftsperson, right? You are the expert. And what you want to do is take AI and kind of coerce it into helping you do things that you think are important, rather than just simply providing answers back to you. So he shared this slide, and I asked him if I could steal it because I absolutely loved it. So that's my basic thought I want to share with you guys today.
Thank you. Glennie?
Yes, so I am just starting in implementing some of the AI tools and ideas in my classes, like as everyone else, I guess. This is a very new phenomenon, so everybody is kind of trying to find the right way to do the things right. So I, at this point, one of the projects, one of the assignments that I have in one of the classes is posing some questions, 10 questions that I am giving to the students, and answer those 10 questions themselves, and then do another task asking those questions ChatGPT, and then compare those two answers. So this is kind of gives the student perspective, applied perspective of how their answers would differ from the answer that they receive from ChatGPT. And I think the knowledge of this kind of the internal knowledge, because once they process, they internalize, they understand what is the difference, helps them actually to understand to what extent they should use AI and how to use the AI to make sure that the answers actually reflects their understanding, their knowledge, their perception, their perspectives. So other than that, I have another class that I have a project, no AI whatsoever, but I do not restrict the students using AI. And I was pleasantly, not pleasantly, I would say surprised last semester seeing some of the projects completely done with the help of AI. And you can understand that right away you can understand that it's written by AI. Majority of the project was done by AI. So I can tell you, Dr. Lee showed you the slide just before. That's exactly what I saw. I saw just a pile of some concepts, some ideas without any coherent storyline. And when your instructor, you're reading your assignment, they would be able to understand completely. So before you actually submit the assignments, just make sure that at least you have this human in the loop component. So you just went through, you looked at and said, okay, is there any logic there? So that's kind of what to my extent, but I do have a lot of ideas. I didn't implement it this semester, but I will be doing much more next semester.
Thank you. Ben, have you seen good practice?
Yes. Well, so I always sharing my idea about AI to my students that the AI is just a tool. It's a current, very modern tools. I will always use in the car as an example. It's similar to the car, right? By end of, very, very old time, we don't have cars, so we can ride a horse. The horse is a tool, right? And then later we have cars, and then we get advanced cars, better and better, and then so we have cars. But the thing is, you have to know where to drive, you have to know how to drive, right? And then with the car advance, we have Tesla. We have auto drive uh system, right? So we don't need to drive by ourselves, but is that true? No, it's not true. We still need how to drive because you cannot have a Tesla car without a drive license. And to get a drive license, you know how to get a car, how to get a Tesla, right? So the same thing when we're using AI, we're using AI as a tool that before, like you should understand how to finish all the work without AI. So the AI will only helping you finish the work more efficient. So that's the concept I want to share with all my students, right? So and and then so that's also the things I tell my students to do is when you're using AI, it's fine, but you should always understand how to ask the right question to AI. So back to the slides that Mike just shared, is like can you share it again, Michael?
Michael, you're muted.
Yeah, I said I actually put it away, but I can pull it back up. Just keep talking and I'll pull it up.
Yeah. So you can tell, you can tell from the left side and the right side. So left side is the people who actually use the AI that have no idea of the main topic, what he wants to do. So what he did is, you can imagine like he wants to create the table, right? So, but with the help of the AI, he just put all the woods and then everything into the AI to try to ask AI to help him to do. But he didn't tell the AI what kind of table he needs, which means he has no idea what he wants as a result. So he just let AI do whatever AI wants to do, and then that's a pretty chaos. But on the other side, for the right side, the people who ask AI for help definitely understand what kind of table he wants. So he have that concept, he have that idea in his brain. So that's why he tells the AI to do so. It doesn't need to do everything by himself, but like he know what he wants, and that's a very clear concept he has. And so back to our education, I want students to have at least have the main concept, have the main idea what to do, not just ask AI to answer every questions. Yeah, so that's my thought.
Okay, very good. Thank you, the panelists. So I would like to tweak my next question a little bit. My original question is to share the do's and don'ts, and I think we talked about a lot of don'ts already. Can you, each of you, share one do's for the students of what they should do in terms of helping the learning?
I mean, I can do it. I can do it at first. So as you know, like there's a lot of programming or like technical part from my class. So I really would like the students to do debug using the AI to help them to debug, right?
Mhm.
So when do the programming, the good way is students know what to do, right? And then they write the coding, they write the programming, they use the Excel tools or tablet tools, but sometimes they didn't get the correct answer. Like when they comparing the answer with the answer I provided, they cannot get it. And then sometimes there are some bugs showing on the either Java, Python, or MySQL. And so they have no idea what's wrong with them. And especially for the students who doesn't have that much background, a little bit detail can give them a bug. So what I actually would like the students to do is they can actually copy paste their code into the AI and then also copy paste the bugs or the warning information into the AI and let AI helping them to explain what is wrong with their coding, what is wrong with the bugs, and it can help them to figure out questions really quick. And some of the students, I know some of the students, they're struggling hours on debugging, but like in that way, I know you already understand the whole process. But if you can use AI to helping you to go through those process, it's gonna be much faster. It's not your concept issue. It's just you are not familiar with those languages, right? AI can help you get faster understanding and faster familiar with that.
Could not agree more. Because if we can use something like AI to help keep us from banging our heads against the wall on a problem that we can't seem to solve, that's a perfect example, Ben, with debugging. Absolutely, yeah, perfect example. I also think another do treat AI kind of like your crazy uncle. Okay, so the crazy uncle that has some bizarre ideas and makes stuff up, and but also has a lot of wisdom. So kind of walk into that with the understanding that you can get a lot of wisdom, right? You can actually, AI can provide you a lot of information, but it can only go so deep. That's the big problem that I see with AI is depth of knowledge. There's great surface knowledge, but depth of knowledge. And you also have to approach it analytically. The do for AI is do exercise your own analytical muscles, your own creative and critical thinking, because you will need to kind of interpret what it gives you and put it in the context of what you know.
I really like the analogy of your crazy uncle. Thank you. Galini?
Okay, I kind of didn't step in because it says specifically technical assignments. I don't have technical assignments in my courses, so I said maybe I will pitch more on following questions.
Yes. Oh, no problem, because the next question is actually for you. What tips will you give your student to get results when you're prompting AI to help you? Like study, writing, write a case analysis, something like that. Any tips you would like to share?
Well, tips, I would say first, maybe I will give a general, it's called like a general prompting strategy. When you ask ChatGPT to do something, first to make sure that you are giving the context. You are giving the context, what you're expecting your answer to be, and you are giving the person that you need for whom it's going to be intended. So those are very important tips. Now, give also specific output type. So how would you like to receive output? Would you like to receive slides? Would you like to receive Word document? Would you like to receive picture? So because by itself, ChatGPT will never know what you expect. So you really have to spell it out. Now, you also don't forget to include constraints, right? Because if you are giving just blank cards, so just give me any answer, this is what you're going to receive. And whether it's going to be applicable to what you actually need, that would be a big question. So just make sure that you put constraints there and say, okay, so this is exactly where I'm expecting my answer to be in this area. And then iterate. If you receive the answer, don't take it, select, copy, and paste. No, just be iterative. Read it first and say, okay, could you please clarify that? Could you please expand on something else? You can literally ask AI to go to a specific section of the answer and clarify, expand, write again, think more. Now with ChatGPT 5, think more, think better. You can even, I can tell you there are some tricks saying to AI, you know what, I don't like your answers. I just asked another LM model and they gave me much better answer, and you will be surprised, but ChatGPT will start working harder, start thinking harder. I will give you better and more answer more in details. Just kind of general tips. Of course, I can go for, I can also expand on studying, for example. If you want to learn subject, if you're reading subject in the book, and sometimes some of the textbooks are a little bit more complex to understand. So you can easily ask ChatGPT this question: can you simplify the subject? Can you explain it to me in a simple language? So that will help you to understand the idea, the basic concept, and then you can go, through the details later on.
Yeah.
You can,
Go
I
ahead.
guess, yeah, that's okay. Go ahead. I think that's, yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
It's like I really agree with what Greeny said, and I want to follow up that a little bit more. Okay, so it's like I want everybody to imagine like back 10 years ago when you were young or when there's no ChatGPT, how could you find how could you find answers except for just asking a crazy uncle, like the real crazy uncle, right? So you ask your parents for the answers, you ask your dad for the answers. But like then there's nobody around you. How could you find information online? We always Google it. if you remember that, right? When we Google it, we cannot provide any context. We have the context in our mind. For example, if I want to write an AC, I have a topic related to, I would say like related to business analytics, right? Let's say that. So at first, you're asking a question about business analytics. So you go to the Google and search business analytics. And there are multiple, papers, articles, website. You go each by each and you pick up the information you need from all those content, right? The website, the articles, the papers, and then that's what you used to do. And actually, this process haven't been changed. It doesn't change because nowadays the AI tools, I would say it's tools is because it's a large language models. It will combine all of those answers you can search online into one tools. So you don't need to go search the website one by one. You actually have the ChatGPT to help you take care of those informations. And when ChatGPT help you take all of those informations, then you have to give the ChatGPT a constraint, which is the context. You have to ask ChatGPT, I'm writing a essay of the business analytics right now. What I want is I want to know, first of all, I want to know what is business analytics. I want to know what is the implementation of business analytics. I want to know the history of this. I want to know the future of it. So you give a ChatGPT all of the ideas you try to answer so that he know where to find the correct answer. Does that make sense? So it's like you are still the people who you are the master of the ChatGPT. Right? Don't make yourself as a slave of it, right? You are the one who use it. You are the owner. Yeah, so that's what I want to. You have to keep everything under your mind. Yeah.
I'm going to very quickly piggyback on that as well, because I completely agree with everything they've said so far. The one thing that I want you to think of, especially when it comes to like solving problems and studying and understanding things, so many people approach AI models asking the what questions. What is the answer to this? Tell me how to accomplish this, right? But how many of you have actually taken the time to ask the why question? Why does this work the way that this does? Help me understand. Some of you may be familiar with the Socratic method, right? Where I answer a question by posing a new question that forces you to think deeper and get a better understanding. And that's really the best way to approach AI, I think, is to deliberately go through the process of asking that why question and trying to extract not answers, but understanding, and then use your own critical thinking skills to interpret that understanding and see if you can apply it to something else. So just something else to add.
That's very good. That actually leads perfectly into our next question, responsible use of AI. Instead of shortcutting in asking the what is the answer, we should actually encourage students to do the why, the process of thinking. So anything to add on that, Ben, Glennie, and Mike?
The only thing I would add, since we're talking about responsible use, is do be very careful about what you upload and that sort of thing. For example, the contents of my courses are my intellectual property, technically. And I get grumpy when students upload my assignments to Course Hero or something like that. I also get a little grumpy when they upload my assignments to ChatGPT and say, here, give me the answer to this prompt, because technically now that's part of the training base, and you've just essentially exposed my content. Now, granted, is that going to be a huge deal to me personally? Probably not, right? That's just a little ethical thing. So be thinking always in terms of, is what I'm doing, is it ethical either from the data I'm sharing? Is it responsible in terms of how I'm using the data that I'm getting back? We have to, I think it's critically important that we always think in terms of whether or not the actions you're taking are truly ethical and responsible, because it's so easy to do. Sometimes we don't stop and consider, is this really an ethical thing that I'm doing?
I would like to piggyback on that. Think of students, you graduate from the school and go to companies. The company give you a task and you just upload the company data into ChatGPT and try to get an answer. You are going to get fired because that is the unethical behavior. that you shouldn't allow the proprietary data into ChatGPT. So, Ben and
Absolutely.
Glendy, how do you encourage responsible use of ChatGPT for students?
How to encourage responsible use? I would say that always have in mind the objectives. Why are you using a tool like ChatGPT? So are you using it just to do your assignment? Then what's the purpose of you being in a grad school and general university? Just to do your assignments and finish and get the paper of graduation that nobody will hire you at the end, because when you are in interviews or you are actually communicating or you're in a workplace, nobody is going to be waiting for you to go and get the ChatGPT to answer the question that they ask you, right? So you need to know the knowledge is for you. So by doing the assignments and employing ChatGPT, you disservice yourself. So how do you switch from the thinking, deserving yourself to how actually ChatGPT enhance what I'm getting from the university? And what you can do is simple things. First is how you can understand concepts better, asking ChatGPT to explain in a simplified term. So what does it mean? How can I connect concepts together? How can I learn something better? How can I create? ChatGPT now even create you the flashcards, study guides, or anything like that. Just makes you kind of guide you step by step what the concepts are and how it's better to learn them. So my advice is just think about the final product. Think about yourself. How can you service yourself after those hard 4 years or 4 years, I guess 2 years for graduate students, right? 2 years in university, because you are investing a lot. Just make sure that you have a good ROI.
Yeah, very good point. You're paying tuition, so you should learn something, right? Ben?
Yes, I have one more thing. Like I very agree with all of what you're talking about, and then I want to talk about the responsibility for yourself, like as what Glini said. Every time when you use ChatGPT, check the answer twice. Because like ChatGPT is just tools, and as I said before, it use all the information online, but it is the combine of the information online that doesn't means all the information ChatGPT provided is correct. So I would like you to double check about answers, and then to ask yourself is that the answer I want to, is that the real answer I want to have, or is that something that ChatGPT just talk about something else, but related, maybe have some keywords related to your question, right? So that's why like you will have some, you still, no matter what, have some idea in your mind, and then double check the answer, and then to make sure that the answer is what you want. And sometimes the answer is not correct. So you want to double ask the ChatGPT, or like to go to the real website or go to the real article to make sure that that is the correct answer. Yeah, that's the responsibility for yourself.
Yeah, I should also add, I do check references. And when I see citations, I will go look those papers up. And if they don't exist, or if the citation is used just way out of context, I do check references. And if you cite a reference incorrectly, that's going to be a serious problem.
Yep. Thank you. Our next question is actually sharing a live example of prompts that you have used, or the student, we will recommend student to use. So since I'm sharing the screen, I would like to do it first, and then I think Ben has an example to share with us as well. So first of all, I would like to share with you why we should be cautious about how GPT answer our question. Please keep in mind, ChatGPT or other AI tools, they are language models. They try to find out the similar terms possible. For example, if I go to try to count the word count for this paragraph, it's 49 words. But if I put it into ChatGPT, it gives me 55 words. That is a very simple example I share with my student all the time. The answer from ChatGPT is not correct. They just try to guess the correct answer. So instead of asking the really straightforward question, I would say try to do something like this. So if you want to go through a data analysis question, instead of saying write an analysis for the data set, the better example is that I'm exploring a data set of customer transactions. What are some questions I can uncover on the patterns and the trend? So if you do that, for example, so it will say there are some directions that you can look into, like descriptive, diagnosis, and causal explanatory questions. It gives you some directions, ideation for you to think of, instead of just directly give you the answer. You cannot ask ChatGPT to analyze the data for you, but you can brainstorm with AI tools to see what are some directions that you can go for when you analyze a data set. The other example I would like to share is about answering a complex concept and try to make it simple. For example, if you want to explain inflation, the concept of inflation, you can actually put into a context of saying, I'm presenting to a class. That is a general discussion. Please use simple English to explain inflation and give some real life examples so that I can prepare a good presentation to my class. So you are giving the constraint, you are giving the context to AI tools so that it can help you prepare a good presentation. So that is the example I would like to share. And Ben, you have an example to share as well?
Yes, so let me share with more technical part. So I'll just give you like as I said before, I would like to my students to using AI to help them debug. All right, so this is an example of the MySQL coding. So this is the result that the students will get if you write the query accurately, right? So this is how to use the tool columns to calculate the amounts per month. However, there's a lot of students have a mistaking of using backtick, covering the column names, and then using the single quote. So this is a very common mistake. The problem is when they have this mistake, there's no arrow sign from the query part, and also when they actually execute this query, there's no arrow warning right here. So responses, this is all correct. And then there's no error sign here, but the problem is the result is shown nothing. So this is makes students very confused, like they have no idea which part they get a mistake. So what you can do is you can actually copy paste this part and then into the ChatGPT set and ask a question. You can't actually put it in, but like what I want the students to do is ask a real precise questions like I want to calculate, right, miles per month using 2 columns, but no result. Why? Right? So it's ask Mike side, we always ask why. And then when I give this to, and then so there's something showing that the result showing that there's something so this part is invalid, right? So this part is treated as a string literacy, not a column name. So what we can do is it provided a lot of answerings, and so we can use each of the answers to try to get the correct version. So and then after getting the answer from ChatGPT, and then so we can do this again and then show us the correct result. So this is how we use the ChatGPT to do the debugging.
Thank you. Yep. So I think these are good examples of using ChatGPT to help you learn instead of just shortcutting it. My final prepared question is that looking ahead for the panelists, how do you see tools like ChatGPT or other AI tools evolving in grad education? And what skills should students develop now to stay ahead?
So I'm the old man in the group. and I'm gonna start here because if you were able to get into a time machine and go back in the days before Google, all right, that was a completely different time in terms of trying to find answers. I think Ben referenced this already. And it was kind of interesting. I was actually in education at the time when Google, the whole internet came out and Google web searches and all that. And there was so much panic in the halls of academia. Well, students are gonna lose the ability to actually research and to find answers and to dig into a book. And now they just go out and they type it in, they get a response. I mean, there was so much panic. And in reality, it wasn't very long before researchers and academics started using those same tools in order to build better processes, more efficient processes, and so forth. So I really look at AI very much the same way. And right now you see a lot of panic in the halls of academia as well about what's going to happen with education overall. Will AI just simply replace the education system and so forth? Got a couple of thoughts about this, and it all leads back to what we need to do in order to generate our own skills. First of all, as Ben has been saying over and over, treat it as a tool. Just like Google is a tool, AI can be a tool. This is not a replacement for your own creative thinking, your own learning processes. And so we need to make sure that we're still developing those muscles, those critical thinking muscles, those analytical thinking muscles, because just like any other tool, it's going to present you with information, and then you need to be able to interpret that information. The other thing that's kind of interesting is that, again, a lot of the panic in education as well as AI just going to replace the modern university. Well, if it did, if that's possible, then MOOC courses and online training that's free, and that would have replaced education long ago. Because what we do, or what we try to do here at the university, is not only teach you how to find the answers, but teach you how to interpret the processes, to critically evaluate and analyze that. And sometimes you just can't get that any other way with having somebody sit down with you and I reference the Socratic method, right? Be able to engage with you and teach you how to think and how to learn and how to critically evaluate things. So how is this going to evolve graduate education? Graduate education is going to be maybe less about generating the answers and more about understanding why these processes actually occur. I tell my graduate students all the time, if all you know how to do is go out into ChatGPT and get a prompt and get a response, why would I hire you? I have no reason to hire you if I can just have ChatGPT do your job. So therefore, you need to bring something extra to the party, right? You need to be able to demonstrate your ability to critically analyze all the different information sources. All ChatGPT or any AI is really doing is curating that data for you, but it's still your responsibility to be able to intellectually process that and critically analyze that data. So the skill set you need to develop: critical thinking, critical thinking, critical thinking. I can't say it enough. That is the most important thing that you can take away from your university experience. Don't learn what, learn how, learn why. And if you can take those lessons away from your graduate experience, you're going to be so much better off in the world of work and in your just general life after. So that's my soapbox.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, so I guess my turn, right? So let's what is just a second, I'm just gonna go to question. It said, evolving graduate education, what skills should students develop now to stay ahead? Well, first of all, I would say AI literacy. I very much like this, AI literacy. Although we all think that we know how to use AI. It's like, think about the financial literacy, right? So you heard all this terminology, interest rates and everything else, and you will start investing suddenly. But if you don't know how the things are actually work together, you're going to receive what you're going to receive. So same AI literacy. We know that it's so easy. You just write a prompt and AI is going to answer you. But if you don't know how to connect those things, the knowledge pieces together, you're going to receive what you're going to receive. So the AI literacy is a very important part. So which means is that you have to learn prompting, not just the technical skill, but as a cognitive skill. So this is kind of what one of the advices. Now, another one is critical thinking. It's as Michael mentioned, it's very important. Source validation, we also mentioned that as well. Ethical AI use, understanding, first of all, learning what is intellectual property, what is a data privacy, what is a transparency. Those are the terms that are going to be very important, that tomorrow you're going to be working in the organization. If you're using AI, I don't know what terms means, you can get in a big trouble, yourself and your organization. So make sure that you know what it means, and make sure that you are, protected, using the AI in a protected way, so you don't expose your organization to a threat. Just adopt continuous learning mindset, because the AI, it doesn't stop. And AI is evolving every minute. There's something new came out. I'm not going to be expanding on that, but it's it's kind of fundamental change that came yesterday, if you read the news. But this continual learning mindset, constantly stay adaptable, learn the new tools, learn the capabilities, learn how they are connected together, and generally, cultivate, just kind of use curiosity over the comfort, not just learn and okay, I learned that. Just be curious constantly, because every day something new is coming out, and the knowledge that you had yesterday might not be applicable for this today.
Yeah,
I know
thank
it's
you for
Ben's turn, but I'm going to pick in really very quickly, because that happened with ChatGPT 5, right? All of a sudden, all the skills you learned for prompting in GPT-4, they weren't irrelevant, but they had been somewhat supplanted by this new model. And so if you don't keep learning and adapting and how to interact with AI, then your skills will atrophy as well. So I completely agree with Galini's comment.
Yeah, I totally agree. But there's one tip I want to share with the graduate students, that always think about, imagine you is not yourself. Imagine you as the group of team, and you are the leader. Think about something someone else can help you to do, and think about something no one else can help you to do. When you do a project, when you try to get a graduate master degree, what are the specific things actually helping you to get that degree? And what's something else you can ask help from the other ones? So that actually means the things only you can do is your own ideas, your own concept, is your critical thinking, and it's your AI literacy that you have but nobody else have. And those are things nobody can replace you, not even AI. And then some other things that someone else can help you, including, like, for example, the data collection, maybe some programming part, maybe some easy answers searching from online. So those are the jobs someone else can help you do if you have a team, I'm saying, right? And then, so these are the things that can replace by the AI, maybe. And then with the AI, it's more and more advanced, and then you can get more and more help. And so in this case, you have to very clear about what is your own skills that nobody can replace. And that is very, very important to make you be competitive even the job marketing, very competitive for you to be like the top levels of the education. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I think I see a common theme here is the critical thinking, cognitive ability. So we can use AI to handle those mechanical jobs, but the thinking, the creativity should be still rely on ourselves as human beings. Okay, so now thank you for answering all the questions and your insights. And now I would like to open the floor for questions from the audience. Any questions? You can unmute yourself or put in your question in the chat.
So I have a questions. How can I balance ChatGPT's assistance with my own original thinking and creativity?
Can you elaborate a little bit? What do you mean by balance? Are you concerned about having ChatGPT kind of take over your thinking process? Is that kind of what you're concerned about, or?
So my question is, how can I balance ChatGPT's assistance with my own original thinking?
Well, your own original thinking should always drive the agenda. That's kind of the approach that I would take. If you allow ChatGPT to drive the agenda, that means that it's giving you what it wants to give you instead of you trying to use that as a tool to help direct the answers into where you want to go. So, and I think that came out with both Ben and Galini's discussions of the importance of specificity and prompting. The more generic your prompts are, the more likely that you're essentially just allowing ChatGPT or any AI to take over the essential agenda of where you're going. That doesn't really give you the opportunity to creatively think or approach or analyze the solution because you haven't really given it any boundaries or context. And so the more specific you can be, the more constraints you can set, the more likely you're not only going to get relevant answers, but you now have a mental model of what you're expecting. You need to evaluate what you're getting back in terms of the mental model that you have. Don't bend your mental model to ChatGPT's output. Force ChatGPT to comply with your mental model, but be mature enough to correct your model if you find that it's an error. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I got a question in the chat that are there any websites or online resources that you recommend to stay current with AI and best practices? For myself, I don't know. And I think that's why OGS has organized this panel discussion and asked us to discuss the best practices because it's evolving. So I don't think I don't know any of the good website out there. Is any of our panelists know the good resources to go to?
But I don't necessarily know that there's any best practices in place right now, and that's kind of the difficulty in terms of the hype cycle, the normal business hype cycle. We're still, ramping up, and it's quite exponential, and it's kind of the Wild West out there. And best practices sometimes take time in order to develop. So I wouldn't necessarily know there are any best practices per se. However, I think that we can learn a lot just by going out to go to Anthropic's site, go to OpenAI, go to Google and learn more about its tools or Copilot, and just kind of look at the development sites. If you go out to the research and development sites, you can actually see what the development processes are, what they're working on. And they'll tell you, for example, when the debacle with ChatGPT 5 came out and the performance reduced, then all of a sudden you have people going now out to OpenAI site to say, all right, so what am I doing wrong? And then they get instructions, right? So sometimes we go to second party or third party sources when we really should just go straight to the horse's mouth and get the information directly from those people that are producing those models. And don't be afraid to do that. That's really where you're going to get the most prescriptive information as far as I'm concerned.
I would say try to use, there's a lot of information available. Again, there's a two kind of question in this question. One is that use of how can I learn AI and how can I learn AI as it applied to academia, as a graduate, undergraduate student, right? So answering the first question, where can I learn AI? Well, there's so many sources right now. Just go to LinkedIn Learning, go to Coursera, go to NVIDIA offers so many courses right now, and they're very comprehensive and they're very current. So they stay ahead of what's happening in AI space. So learn from there. Then now, if we speak about the academia, every university right now working on AI policies and how to use AI responsibly and ethically. So we have the Harvard is going on a lot in AI, the MIT is going, we as UNLV are also in this subject, and we have committee, as Han-Fan mentioned, that does the AI learning. We just had 2 sessions from our TLC, which is AI 101, a couple of other sessions. And so this is what is in our university. Now, if you want to learn something, what's going on in our university, our faculty probably can help you with that because we are getting educated and updated AI and educational system constantly. But if you are interested in other universities, you can get, again, Harvard, MIT, they have some open sources as well, if you want to learn specifically for education. But if you want, as I said, AI LinkedIn Learning, Coursera, NVIDIA, all of those, Microsoft, all of them, they have multiple sources and courses, very short courses where you can get the information that you need.
Yeah, I have no idea about if there is the websites to specific on this, but for my personal experience, I following some tech influencers and who always post like the very current technologies. And if it's related, and most of them are related to AI right now. And every time if I like the YouTubers podcast, if I heard something that's very interesting, I will go try my best, try myself. I will go ChatGPT, I will go like the Google one, the Bard. I will try it on myself and see, oh, if this work or if it doesn't work. And I think you can also do that too. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So as Gleanie just mentioned, UNLV is also trying to develop the best practices already. In the chat, Pravin shared that I think he's from OIT. They also try to implement the AI best practices as well. All right, so the next question is how prevalent is AI generator used among undergrad and graduate student and faculty? I can quickly take that question. I think it's very popular. Everyone's kind of using it already, but I do not have exact number for per se. The next question is how would the result from a free agent different from a paid subscription one? Are there extra benefit to pay the subscription? Any thoughts on that, panelist?
You want the paid models are going to be more advanced, plus you get more throughput and deeper thinking. So yeah, you will get a different response. Ben, didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, I think the difference, well, first of all, if you think about to purchase it, I would say try not to purchase it because you don't need it right now. If you are just trying to figure in some normal daily jobs, and you actually don't need it because yes, there's a difference between the answers and between the answers of the paid and unpaid. But I'll say that if you only try to figure in some normal answers, there isn't not much difference. And the reason the unpaid and paid nowadays is more go to advanced graphic part. That's what my understanding. If you're trying to have the images produced, video produced, and then if you try to have some really deep connections between like different answers, and you are creating a more comprehensive system or like systematic answers, yes, the paid one will give you better answer. But like if you're just trying to use it, helping you understanding some basic concept, try to help it helping you make some normally daily decisions, I would not suggest you to purchase that because you don't need to. Yeah.
And another follow-up on that is if you find yourself using ChatGPT so much that you max out what you're doing on the free version, right? It comes back and says, "No, you've hit your limit for the day." You're using it too much.
That's a very good point. So to share one tip of myself, I will compare the answer from different generative AI like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity, Copilot. Maybe you can get a better answer by comparing the answers of the generated ones if you want to. But you don't. I don't think you need to pay for the subscription. In the chat, Pravin also shared that UNLV developed some policies and best practices that will be released soon. I also share a link that is shared by Dr. Lisa Davis. That is a podcast from our OIT as well. So if any of you want to check it out, that would be great resources to go to.
And while I do agree that there's a huge difference between paid and free, absolutely, and the point, especially for coding, absolutely. The question is whether or not it's necessary. So that's an evaluation you have to do. If you know somebody that's got a paid license and you want to try a couple things and see if it's really worth it to you, great. And then find out if it really makes sense at this point, because everything is expensive.
Yep. Okay, any other questions from our audience?
Hi, yes, my name is Ava. I'm part of the MBA program through MGM Resorts International. So thank you for hosting this chat today. Really quickly, I just wanted to know your thoughts. So we started off, with the internet boom, and then we transitioned into having Google, a web search platform, and now we have ChatGPT to help us, further our intellectual studies. But where do you think that's going to take us next? What happens after this ChatGPT boom?
That's a
I would
very good
answer
question.
if we knew that, we would have been billionaires. If we knew that exactly,
Not
right?
trying to cheat or go
Yeah,
put
we
my
can.
stock market anywhere, but
Well,
Right.
now everybody will have their own Javas. That's what I'm expecting.
Yeah, we all can assume what's going to happen next, but of course we don't know. But the only thing what we can do is just to make sure that we keep current to what it is right now. Because if you're not keeping the current to what it is right now, and constantly the new things are coming out daily, if not hourly, so then it will be harder for you to catch up and understand the idea working with LLMs and those artificial intelligence systems. It will be much harder for you in the future. So to make sure, basically, in summarize, stay current. Make sure that you're staying current, and wherever this go, so it will be easier for you to transition together with everyone else. So that's it. It's very hard if you have to make the distance from point zero to where in the future the AI is going to be, rather than you will be understanding the systems to some extent, and only you have to learn the improvements that have been made from then and after.
Yeah,
If you
and
want
just
to,
to build on the same point, it is just technology itself is just infancy, it's growing so fast. So just keep up with it, and that's pretty much it. It's like so much knowledge over there, but there is no order into it. So it's like a entropy theory, if you know, guys, that there is so much knowledge, but there is no organization at all. So you cannot find anything until you know what you're looking for. So that's where you're going to come in, as Lee and everybody pointed out, that you need to know exactly what you want and how you want it. Otherwise, we can get lost in it.
And I would say another thing is just don't be discouraged, because as any new innovation or any new technological update that is coming out, it might kind of discard the previous, what you have been working with. So don't be discouraged. For example, right now, the ChatGPT doing things starting yesterday that before so many applications, you had to put so many applications together to do this. Right now, ChatGPT does that. So it's kind of discouraging saying, oh, okay, now why did I learn all of that, right? But that's a part of the process.
Well, I would say I have a kind of expectation that I'll have kind of a view in the future that everybody will have their own personal assistant of the AI, or AI personal assistant. Like it's not, I don't think it'll be so far because like we have smart house right now. In a smart house, we have Google Home, we have Apple. I think that's the Apple Home or something, right? So what I did every morning, I used to call it. I said, "Hey Siri, open the light. Hey Siri, have some music." Right? Oh, I just turned on my phone. I'm sorry. And then, so the same thing that in the future, what you can do is you can say, hey, Siri, help me figuring out something. So instead of asking a question to ChatGPT, I will think that is coming. But like no matter what, you have to understand that it is you request something to the AI, right? Never let AI request something to you. So like it's just a system. It's just the tools that can helping you figure out a lot of things. In the future, I say like tomorrow I have to do this event, that event, this event, that event. Can like helping to ordering which event, what's the priority, like what I should do at first, or like what time is best for me. I want to do something else. So these things is like a system that can helping you taking care of your calendar, taking care of your schedule. But no matter what, it is you yourself who would like to do something at first, and then you're asking AI for the help. Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking in the future. And everything could become very smart, and everything could relate it to the AI. That's how technology grow fast.
I feel like there are so many horror movies out there scaring people away from having their own personal assistant, but I love that thought process.
Yeah, I know. I used to watch iRobot. I'm scared about that too. But the
Exactly.
more I you know, contact with AI, the more I actually learn in the AI, the less I will worry about it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think this served as a very great closing remark for this section. So I would like to, before we end, I remind everyone to fill the survey at the chat. Please fill it out, provide our feedback so that all GSS can provide better events for you in the future. And please join me thanking all the panelists for their input today. And I hope you enjoy the session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I-
Thank you.